My brothers and sisters, may the Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to the 12, "Do not think that I have come to bring peace upon the earth. I have come to bring not peace, but the sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And one's enemies will be those of his own household. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The Gospel this morning reminds us very poignantly that to follow the message of the Gospel and to follow Jesus and live his ways sometimes is not easy. That sometimes there's lots of friction that occurs as a result of that. Sometimes persecution, in fact, is part of it. And yet whether the persecution comes or not, we are still called to be true to that message. We celebrate today a classic example of one of those individuals who, despite lots of pressure on the part of his family and on the part of other people to change his mind about things, he still stayed true to what he knew in truth he had to do, and that is St. Thomas More. Both he and John Fisher are celebrated today. John Fisher was born in 1469. He was appointed Bishop of Rochester and led a very austere life and was put into prison by Henry VIII because of his failure to condone or allow the annulment to take place that Henry was seeking out. Thomas More was born in 1477 and was educated at Oxford, and he was Chancellor in the King's Court, and he wrote many works on the governance of the realm, and at the same time the balancing act between that and defense of the faith. Both were beheaded in 1535 by order of King Henry VIII when they resisted in the matter of the divorce. John Fisher on this day and Thomas More on July 6th, but they're both celebrated today. In the Office of Readings this morning, there is a letter which Thomas More wrote to his daughter Margaret while he was in prison. And it sort of gives us an insight into the inner workings of his mind and how, despite the pressure that his family was placing upon him to, well, just go ahead and tell him that you believe this, etc. He just could not take that stance, knowing what the truth was. So he writes to Margaret, "Although I know well, Margaret, that because of my past wickedness I deserve to be abandoned by God, I cannot but trust in his merciful goodness. His grace has strengthened me until now and made me content to lose goods, land, and life as well, rather than to swear against my conscience. God's grace has given the king a gracious frame of mind toward me, so that as yet he has taken from me nothing but my liberty. In doing this, his majesty has done me such great good with respect to spiritual profit, that I trust that among all the great benefits he has heaped so abundantly upon me, I can count my imprisonment the very greatest. I cannot therefore mistrust the grace of God. Either he shall keep the king in that gracious frame of mind to continue to do me no harm, or else, if it is his pleasure that for my other sins I suffer in this case, as I shall not deserve, then his grace shall give me the strength to bear it patiently, and perhaps even gladly. By the merits of his bitter passion joined to mine, and far surpassing in merit for me all that I can suffer myself, his bounteous goodness shall release me from the pains of purgatory, and shall increase my reward in heaven besides. I will not mistrust him, Meg, though I shall feel myself weakening and on the verge of being overcome with fear. I shall remember how St. Peter at a blast of wind began to sink because of his lack of faith, and I shall do as he did, call upon Christ and pray to him for help. And then I trust he shall place his holy hand on me, and in the stormy seas hold me up from drowning. And if he permits me to play St. Peter further and to fall to the ground and to swear and forswear, may God our Lord in his tender mercy keep me from this, and let me lose it if it so happened, and never win thereby. Still, if this should happen, afterwards I trust that in his goodness he will look on me with pity as he did upon St. Peter, and make me stand up again and confess the truth of my conscience afresh, and endure here the shame and harm of my own fault. And finally, Margaret, I know this well, that without my fault he will not let me be lost. I shall therefore with good hope commit myself wholly to him. And if he permits me to perish for my faults, then I shall serve his praise for his justice. But in good faith, Meg, I trust that his tender pity shall keep my poor soul safe, and make me commend his mercy. And therefore, my own good daughter, do not let your mind be troubled over anything that shall happen to me in this world. Nothing can come but what God wills, and I'm very sure that whatever that be, however bad it may seem, it shall indeed, in the end, be the best.